Would you or would you not sign Alex DeBrincat to an extension?
I, at this juncture, would not.
Oh, Sly. They're going to be coming for you.
You know what? It's a lot of money on a long-term contract, and he's a good player. Now, I'm going to ask you this question, guys. Can the Senators win next year with Josh Norris in and Alex DeBrincat out?
Yes.
See, right now, are you going to commit, that huge chunk of money on a long-term contract on a player that probably you could get by without him? Or are you going to save that money for a position where you might need bigger help, like goaltending?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's my position right now. If you still had $20 million under the cap, and that wouldn't be an issue. But at this moment, every buck you spend has to be very well spent.
If you're paying attention to the playoffs right now and you're seeing what has success in the National Hockey League, it's teams that have really good third lines that can play against any line on any other team, that play heavy, that play physical, that go to the dirty areas. Watch the goals that are being scored in the NHL playoffs. They're not fancy goals scored outside of the dots. And what I mean by the dots are the dots that go up and down the ice. Guys that play on the outside of the dots, it's very tough to have success in the playoffs. During the regular season, you can have success outside the dots. When I watch Alex DeBrincat play, I think he's a tremendous player, but the majority of his success comes from outside the dots. So people will say, well, sure, in the playoffs it will translate. I think for sure in the first round, because in the first round there's a ton of penalties, there's a ton of power plays, and that's where he's most valuable. He is an incredible player on the power play. He is an incredible player on shootouts, and he's an incredible player in 3-on-3 hockey. Two of those three things don't exist in the playoffs: 3-on-3 hockey and shootouts. So then you're going to be paying a guy $9 million to basically be fantastic on the power play. And also, too, think about, why did the Ottawa Senators acquire Alex DeBrincat? Because he was a 40-goal scorer, and they didn't really have that on their team. When you look now what exists on the current roster of the Ottawa Senators, Timmy Stützle is going to be a 40-goal scorer. Brady Tkachuk had 35-plus goals. Josh Norris had 35 goals. Drake Batherson was over 20 goals. Pinto was over 20 goals. Goal scoring is not a problem for the Ottawa Senators. What they need is to increase their depth and to fill that roster in with guys that can play hard playoff hockey and play inside the dots. And that's not a slam against DeBrincat, because I think on a variety of different teams, he can be a top-line player. But they're on Ottawa Senators, he's their second-line left winger. Brady Tkachuk is always going to be your first-line left winger. So why on earth would you pay someone $9 million to be your second-line left winger? It doesn't make any sense.
I just like asking the question. It's fun. It should be like a little game.
It's you just got to look at Wally. You just got to look at slotting.
I know
it doesn't work.
I understand.
It doesn't work.
But I think people get confused with his talent level and what he can do on the ice as to where he fits on the roster. So if we can all agree he is an extremely talented hockey player who's fun to watch and does fun things on the ice. I don't necessarily think he fits into the mold of building a Stanley Cup contender with the Ottawa Senators. That's all I think is what's being
There's
said.
your point with the Ottawa Senators, because I think he does fit into the mold with some other teams, because you need players like that can score. But the Senators, the way they've come so quickly with the guys, nobody saw Stützle scoring this many goals this year. And that's the thing. How many guys on your team can you have that you can say, well, he's a 40-goal scorer, and he's a 40-goal scorer, and he's a 40-goal scorer? To be a 40-goal scorer, you have to get every single offensive zone start. You have to play 1:30 of every single power play. You've got to be on the end. Like, there's so many things that come into play, and those opportunities just aren't going to be there, I think, for DeBrincat to be a 40-goal scorer. Not enough ice.
But the other thing, too, to go along with that is that in order for the forwards to score lots of goals, they need to have the puck. In order for them to have the puck, the defenseman needs to provide them the puck. And you don't think right now, next season, the offense will not be boosted by having a full Jakob Chychrun full time and Jake Sanderson being 1 year older. So I'm thinking right now. So to me, like if Tim Stützle scored 40 goals this year, he might move up to 50 in the near future because of that. So to me, that's right now, and it's not a knock on Alex DeBrincat. Like you said, some teams are going to need Alex DeBrincat just to get to the playoffs. I could be wrong. We could all be wrong right now and look like fools in a year from now. But I think like you guys, the Sens don't need him right now to get into the playoffs.